So it will be easier for you, you understand, in the UK as compared to the US.
In today's video, we'll be having comparison between the UK and the US. Hey guys, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. If you're coming across my face or my channel for the very first time, my name is Faith or Johnny, and I have an amazing guest in the building. He's currently in the US and I'm in the UK, so we want to talk about life in the UK and the US. Let me introduce to you my guest. Welcome, Jenny. Let me allow you to introduce yourself.
Hi guys. Hi Faith. Thanks for having me. My name is Jennifer and I'm a nurse and I currently live in the United States of America.
Let's get started. So, number one is the cost of living compared to the US and the UK. I mean, there's an article I read where they talk about that the cost of living in the UK is way lower than the cost of living in the US. But again, this is just like a statistics. I'm sure there are some things that are less expensive in the US that is more expensive in the UK. And we can't really say that the cost of living in the UK is generally affordable than living in the US. But again, I don't live in the US, so I do not know. Let's hear what Jenny has to say about the cost of living in the US.
Like you just said, it's actually a statistic, but in my opinion, it differs from state to state. Some states are expensive, while some states are less expensive in the US. So for the states that are less expensive, the cost of living is way lower than the national average cost of living in the US. So that being said, but because I've lived in the UK and now in the US and I am living in an expensive state, I'll say the UK is way cheaper as compared to the US. But I feel like there's a balance in terms of how much you'll be earning and all that.
The fact that you've lived in the UK, I feel like you have more say because you already lived in the UK. You know how living in the UK feels like, and now you're living in the US. So now you're accepting that cost of living in the US can be a bit slightly more expensive than the UK. Again, it also depends on where you live in the UK. If you're living in London, it's definitely not going to be cheaper. So the next thing we're going to talk about is driving. I mean, driving in the UK is, I don't think I can drive in the UK because their roads are super narrow. I mean, by narrow, I don't know if I'm emphasizing it enough. The roads in the UK are super narrow, and if you're used to driving in a very broad road, I mean, driving in the UK would be a lot more challenging for you. I think it will be for me. I think this is one of the reasons why I've not actually considered getting a car in the UK, because I felt like, first, aside from the road being narrow, you're still going to drive by the right. I mean, everything is on the right, and I'm used to driving on the left in Nigeria and on a very big, broad road. So, I mean, that fear is already gripping me, and I'm like, do I want to get a car in this country when I'm in a cab and we're going out and I see how the drivers are struggling to I mean, you will see one very narrow road and it's going to be 2 lanes. And I'm like, how is this road supposed to be 2 lanes? I mean, driving in the UK, the roads are really terribly narrow. I don't know why that is, but let's hear about the US.
Well, when I was in the UK, Faith, I won't lie, I felt like I was lazy because, of course, the transportation system was all right, so you didn't have a choice. But when I got to the US, it's like I had no choice. I literally tell people that you cannot survive in the US without learning how to drive, without driving. And also, in terms of driving on the left and on the right, you know, here in the US, it's just like Nigeria. And because it's just like Nigeria, so it's a bit easier for us that are from Nigeria. But if maybe you're from South Africa or Zimbabwe, where they drive just like the UK, so it will be easier for you, you understand, in the UK as compared to the US. Yeah, I won't lie, my goodness, I finally braced up. Like, I had to learn how to drive. No, I could not survive it. You know, the first 1 week when I came to the US, I was like, it's going to be like the UK. Since I've lived in the UK, I don't think I'll have any problem. So I started spending a lot of money on transportation, Uber. And then if I'm taking my son to the school, I spend like $35 a day. And I was like, no, I need to learn how to drive. So that was when I learned how to drive. But learning how to drive, like you said, the roads in the UK are very narrow. But yeah, in the US, I don't find the road to be a problem, but it's the people driving. Here, they are merciless. They are, my goodness. It's just like, especially that highway. Even as much as I'm driving right now, I'm driving, but you see that highway, one way or the other, I don't go there. I feel like I'm not ready for that at all. I'm not ready. Everybody's just rushing somewhere. It's just too busy. Load and all that. It's good. It depends on the place you're living, though, because I do hear that some places in the US, their roads are not okay. If you are coming into the US anytime soon and you don't know how to drive, please, my advice would be learn how to drive. It's very important. The driving school here, they're a lot more expensive. In my own case, I had to learn how to drive here in the US just because I was lazy, too lazy to learn how to drive in the UK and in Africa as well. So it cost me about $200 and something to learn for just 6 hours. That's 3 days, 2 hours each day, which I feel like is a lot more expensive. So it will save you a lot more if you learn how to drive before coming into the US.
I think generally learning how to drive abroad is expensive. So the next point we're going to talk about is how houses are built in the UK and in the US. In the UK, most houses are built, together. It's like they're attached to each other, so they're not separate. And most houses do not have like fence or they are not gated. But again, just because they're attached to each other does not mean you get to see your neighbors more often, or sometimes you can even live in a particular flat or in a particular house or on a particular street for years and you'll not even get to see or know your neighbors. How about the US?
Okay, so here in the US actually still differs from state to state. Like if you go to states like Texas, you know that the houses are a lot more bigger and you see them in the movie, probably see them in movies. And also here in where I live in Rhode Island in the United States of America. So in Rhode Island, there's some parts of the state where you get houses just like Texas, like single houses. Here where I'm living in the city, that's Providence. It's a lot more populated and you get people living on top of each other, like unit 1, unit 2, unit 3 and all that. So I know they still have that in other parts of the country or other states, but here where I'm living is like that.
How is this space? In the UK, maybe it's because it's in London, but most of their houses are built quite small. And I keep wondering, do they not want people to live in this house? Because what is this?
Well, in the US, it's a lot more spacious, and that's one thing I like. My former apartment in the UK is like the kitchen and the city room together. But But here in the US, it's just one. So the kitchen and city room in the UK is just only my kitchen here in the US. So it's a lot more spacious and bigger in the US.
I like that. I don't know who told them to build that kind of house where the sitting room and the kitchen is the same. You're sitting down watching TV, you can stretch your hand and get plates from the kitchen because everything is together. It's not nice. And again, we cook African food. Imagine you now cook a furry roll and beg you and beg you the whole for be smelling food. And when guests come, they'll be like, what did you cook? I don't know. I don't like. Most times when I look for apartments in the UK, I avoid open plan as much as I can. I've never lived in an open plan apartment in the UK. So most times I look for houses that the kitchen is separate, the sitting room is separate as well. So guys, the next thing we're going to talk about is the cell phone bills. So I read in an article that making phone calls in the UK is way cheaper than in the US. In the UK, you have different options to pick from, and you can actually do SIM only deals. You get to pay a certain amount of money every month and you get unlimited data, unlimited calls, text messages and all of that. Phone calls in the UK is way cheap. If most airtime plan with network providers here in the UK is unlimited phone calls, text messages to your loved ones within the UK though, but international calls are quite expensive.
So well, if there's one thing I miss in the UK is that cell phone. I missed it actually, because here in the US, the first day I came here, I was trying to get a SIM And because I came with the, UK was free. You can just order a SIM online, right? So I came here and I tried to order a SIM online, and they're like, I should come to the office. So I was wondering, why do I have to come to the office to get a SIM? So I went there. They said I have to bring my documents. I felt really confused because it's just SIM. I mean, it's just SIM. So why are you asking me to bring all these documents? But later they had to explain to me that you need to pay for a SIM. And also monthly, I'll be paying for that SIM. That's really, no, to be honest, I felt really bad. Like, you have to pay. Do you know that my SIM I am using at the moment, I'm paying $43. And the SIM is either prepaid or postpaid. So for the postpaid, it's a lot more expensive because, of course, you have to use it first and then you reimburse them or you pay them. But for the prepaid, you pay first before the service, which is a lot cheaper. So I went with postpaid because, after all, let me use it and let me see it. Who sent me? so when I got the bill for myself and my husband, it was about $200 and something. We were at for 1 month. So we had to call them. So they explained to us that because we're using postpaid. Do you know that day was the last day I used that SIM? I had to get another one because, of course, I can't be paying $100 for myself, and for my husband that's $200 for a month for phone. So honestly, if you ask me, UK is a lot better. And then this phone I'm talking about, let me explain it well. It's just SIM card to make call, and I cannot call Nigeria. It's just within the US, free call and free SMS. And also, they'll give you small data, like 10 gig data. So it's not the data that you have in your house. So the one you have in your house, that's the broadband internet, or what do they call it? It's a lot different. So, no, I don't have what to say because it's a lot more expensive. Yeah, it's a lot more expensive.
So the next thing we're going to be talking about is the healthcare. Kudos to NHS. You guys are simply the best. So, when you're migrating to the UK, you pay the NHS surcharge. And when you get to the UK, that means it gives you access to free medical checkup, free medical treatment, but you definitely need to pay for some prescription drugs. So it's only a few things that I think that you need to pay for if you are sick in the UK. That's if you have to see a specialist or you are prescribed some medication, that's when you have to go and pay for it. But to see a doctor for normal checkup, to know what's going on, it is free in the UK, and thanks to the NHS. So let's hear about the US.
Well, healthcare here is not free. It's not free. It's a lot more expensive here in the US. But one tip I can share with you guys. So if you're thinking of coming to the US, once you just arrive here, make sure you register with the government insurance. Each state have their own health insurance, and it's free. So they have it for low income earners. And at that time, before you will get a job, or if you already have a job once you reach here, that's if you use the work-based visa to come here, you might not just start working almost immediately. So you literally need to get your SSN, which is more like the BRP in the UK. So they call it SSN. So before you get those documentation and before you start working, so because you don't have a job, you are low income earner, so you can actually apply to the healthcare insurance by the government. They usually call it Medicaid or Medicare. So when you apply like that, the government will be taking care of your health care. Of course, there's a limit. There's some things they don't actually pay for, or the Medicaid does not cover, or the health insurance does not cover, and that includes those extensive maybe seeing a specialist and all that. So they will actually tell you if it does not cover. So that's one advice I'll give you. But like we all know, healthcare in the US is not free. But one thing I will always say is, in as much as it's not free, you still need to get maybe an health insurance from your organization in which you're working with, or mostly your employer. So when you get that health insurance, then you can co-pay. Co-pay means that maybe you have a bill of $1,000. Your health insurance can cover it for up to like $700, probably. I'm just using that as an example. And then you now co-pay and pay the rest. So in general, healthcare here is not free, except or unless you use that government health insurance. And mind you, that one that I mentioned is for like, they'll tell you for 1 year. So it's either you renew it if you are still low income earner, if it's either you renew it yearly, or you just convert it to your employer healthcare insurance or health insurance. So in general, it is not free. But one thing I always say is, in as much as it's not free, it's very good. The healthcare year is very good. What is it's just a, it's
Are you saying
of,
that it's better than the UK?
yes, now I'm coming to that. Yes, because it's a matter of you get what you paid for. It's not cheap, it's not free, but you get what you paid for. In the UK, I'll give you an example. I remember when I went to see my doctor, you know, that pandemic period.
Yeah.
In fact, not after the pandemic period, because it was late last year. And then he said he was going to do a referral to NHS,
Yeah.
to the hospital. So then I started calling and calling and calling and calling. So they said I'm on the waiting list. And I was like, why do I have to be placed on the waiting list? I need to see my doctor. They said yes, now that the population is too much. So I actually thought it was going to be like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Do you know that up till now, I did not call my GP to say I'm going to the US. So I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting. So you can imagine. I'm not saying those ambulance services, they are very good, because I worked with them in the UK. They are very good and very proactive. Like you call them immediately, they come. But you see, when it comes to healthcare, I give it up for this place, this US. But you know, like I said, there's a balance. You're paying for what you're getting.
Yeah.
The 1 month, yes. As soon as I got here, I just met my doctor. And I was like, oh, CEO, I met a doctor in the UK, and they asked me to wait for a doctor in NHS in the hospital. So she was like, can you just tell me what happened? And I just told her, do you know that what is still taking NHS 1 year? And I got it here in the US, not up to 2 hours.
Wow.
Yes, so but because it is not free now, so but in general terms, healthcare here is not free except you have insurance.
Yeah, in the UK, if you have your money, you can use private hospitals if it will be something you really need to see a doctor urgently. If not, you can wait for the NHS. So the next point we're going to talk about is education. So we all know that in the UK, if once your child is from the age of 3, they are sort of eligible for free education. So from 3 years to 4 years, I think it's 30 hours free. Then when you get to 5 years, that's when it's totally free for public school. So for private school, you definitely have to pay, and it is not cheap. It is not affordable at all. So how about the US?
Well, it's the same, but you know that 30 hours, 15 hours, we don't have it here. Here in the US, their kindergarten, that's their KG, starts at the age of 5 years. So my son now, who is about 4 years plus, in the UK was supposed to go to the big school. You know, they call it big school, small school, like to go to the KG. But when we got here, it's a lot different. So they asked us, though they told us that because he's not up to 5 years, he needs to go to the pre-K, that's pre-KG. So the pre-KG, it's either you enter through a lottery. So that's another tip too, guys. If you're coming to the US, as soon as you arrive, please, and you have children, please register with your state schools or education. So you go for, if it's less than 4 years, they'll go for a screening. They'll screen them just to know which class to place them or years. So after the screening, they will now do a lottery. Because it's not up to the school age, but they have options for pre-K. They have classes for pre-K, that's for the public schools. So they'll do a lottery. So if your child wins, free education from the pre-K to the K. But if your child does not win a lottery, and it means that you have to be paying for daycare. And daycare, my sister, is not
It's not cheap.
It's not cheap. It's not cheap. So, but in our case, we were actually lucky. And as soon as I came here, I just quickly, because of all this little knowledge I knew, so I just quickly applied. And less than 2 months, my child was placed in a school, in a pre-K, which was actually fantastic. So please, guys, always and always, as soon as you get into the US, make sure you check the education system, because of course they have the time in which they play the lottery. They have the time, so if it's past that time, you have to wait till next year. So but in all, public schools here in the US is free.
Oh wow.
Education
But
is
not
free.
until universities.
No, no, but for the university they have scholarships. They
Yeah.
have
Same
scholarship, and
as
that's
the,
one thing. Yeah,
yeah.
that's one thing I like here in the US. They have a lot of scholarships. Even as a career person, if you want to further your career, there's still some state sponsored scholarship.
Oh
So if
wow.
you want to do your BSc, your MSc, PhD, there's still your state in which you are living in, you can actually apply for scholarship, and then
Oh
you can,
wow.
yeah. So that's one thing I like here.
That's great. I mean, in the UK as well, if your child is less than the age for the 15 hours or 30 hours, you have to pay for nursery, which is not affordable. I'm
At
paying
all.
for nursery right now and I'm crying because I mean, like
But
80% of my salary is going for nursery. I just
mm-hmm.
feel like I'm working for the nursery because there's
Yeah.
nothing I'm getting at the end of the month, which is
Mm-hmm.
really
Okay.
sad.
Mm-hmm.
So guys, the last and the final thing we're going to talk about is work-life balance. So I read in an article that in the UK there is work-life balance. Generally, most companies in the UK would respect you, like would let you go attend to your family issues than allow you to stay at work. They don't do that. So I don't know about the US.
I feel like it's still there, and a lot of people that I know, right, they are working because of the money. So even if you tell them to go home to rest on vacation, they will still go to look for work to work. Everybody here, I just feel like everybody's hustling, everybody's looking for money. So I haven't
Yeah.
really seen, but in all, I give it up for the UK.
If you're working in the UK, you're entitled to 28 days of
Yeah.
holiday, which you go for your vacation, and that holiday, nobody's going to call you for work. You're eligible for it, like you're entitled to 28 days. And some companies, if you do not take the 28 days, they either pay you or some company will even force you to take that holiday. In the UK, I mean, if you have holiday pending and you've not used it, they will actually book you for the holiday. You will just check your rota and you'll be like, you're on holiday, Faith, you have to take that holiday. And so, which is good. I don't know if you guys have work holiday in the US, like.
Yeah, it depends on the employer you're working with, actually. Yeah, most of them, but I don't think it's up to that 28 days like you have mentioned. I don't think so. It's like you come to work and you get paid. So if you don't come to work, you won't get paid. Life is like per hour, yeah. You understand?
UK is winning for work-life balance. So in the UK,
Yeah.
there is more work-life balance, more holidays for you and all of that. So yes, so thank you so much, because guys, this has been an amazing video. So Jenny is a YouTuber. She talks about how you can migrate to the UK and the US, because she was living in the UK before she moved to the US. So if you're interested in knowing more about the US, head to her YouTube channel and subscribe. I would leave the link of her channel in my description box below. So thank you so much guys for watching this video. If this video was helpful, give me a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe if you have not. And I'd like to hear what you think in the comment section. If you're living in the US or you're living in the UK, tell me what you think. I'll be in the comments and I'll be reading all of that. And give this video a lot of thumbs up so that more people can see it. And I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.